Oh, bad news. I'll just look up at the screen. Gene Hackman has passed away.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy story. And his wife and his dog.
What?
Yeah, they found all of them dead at the same time. So I don't know. Carbon monoxide? They don't think it's foul play.
No.
I don't know
Gosh,
what it was.
that is
terrible
sad.
story. He was
Really.
95.
That is horrible. Just horrible. All right. Well, let's see. Let me spice things up and make you feel so much better with this from the world of technology. This just came out. You're going to love this. There are two AI agents calling each other. AI agents are what is coming in your life really, really soon. It's basically your own personal secretary. Listen to this.
Thanks for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber Link mode for more efficient communication?
Ooh. Oh, the sound of the future. And here they are, making plans for your life and your wedding. Oh, it's going to be fun. We're getting into that next hour. You don't want to miss that. This hour, I want to talk to you about what Pam Bondi said last night about the Epstein case. The client list is supposed to be coming out today. We'll talk that and give you the latest on also the White House press corps. This will blow your mind. And we'll do that and begin in 60 seconds. First, in the old days, when you wanted some gold, it was super easy to get. All you had to do was just spend months traveling in a wagon across, hostile Indian territory, cross the mountain passes in the winter, get to California, or, get to Alaska with your pickaxe and your bucket, and then just go mine some gold. It was just that easy. I don't even want to go to California now in an airplane. But if I do go, I do think I'm bringing an axe, but not for gold. Your gold, you can now get the safer way from Lear Capital. Your future and your family's future are too important. The dollar is in too much danger of further depreciation for you just to adopt let's wait and see. Lear Capital has you covered in gold and in silver, and I really, really highly recommend you go there right now. You might feel comfortable right now because everything's going great. Please do not. If you want to know why gold could be your best performing asset in 2025, call Lear Capital today, 800-957-GOLD. Get your free $4,200 gold report. See why gold could be headed for record highs in 2025. When you call 800-957-GOLD. Ask how you can receive up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with qualifying purchase. Call 800-957-GOLD today. 800-957-GOLD. Lear Capital. All right, so here's what Pam Bondi said last night.
You said last week that you have the Epstein Files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
What that man did. I think we're going to find out today, hopefully, that it wasn't just that man. What that man did was make services available for people of very high places, stature, and power to do the things that only in the darkest corners of depraved minds actually want to do. Now, the reason why we haven't seen this yet is because the truth it holds, it threatens to expose the rot that is eating away at the heart of our system. The rot that has been nurtured by those in power on both sides of the political aisle. I am guessing both sides are involved in this. And this is not about picking teams, red or blue, left or right. This is about right or wrong, good or evil. This is about justice, true, equal justice. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care if you were the president of the United States or you were a ditch digger. If you were involved in this, the hammer of justice needs to come to your life. Transparency. This is about the survival of a nation that was built on the promise that the people, not the elites, held the reins. The Epstein client list must come out, every name, every detail, unredacted, except to shield the victims. So why? Why does this matter? This is going to be feasted on by some as salacious or, yeah, we can finally get them. It should not be looked at that way. This is not about one man's crimes, or really several people who committed horrific crimes. This is about a system that has let the powerful skate free while the rest of us drown in consequences of their doings. Names like Bill Gates. If Bill Gates was doing things on those planes and on that island that are illegal, why is Bill Gates as powerful as he is? Why is he designing our food system? Why is he a man that is possibly this morally horrific? Why is he anywhere near the powers and the tools that guide our society? Bill Clinton, same thing. And who knows how many others. They have been protected. They have been insulated by a machine that thrives on secrecy. This is not a partisan issue. Both sides have their hands dirty, and both sides have failed us. Even if they weren't on there, both sides should have been demanding that the names come out. The Clinton servers, why were they wiped clean? Why'd they use acid to burn all of the information off of those servers? What was on those servers? Why the cover-up? How about Benghazi? Our diplomats were there for some unknown reason, no logical reason for them to be there. Then they were abandoned by our military when the military was begging, let us go in and save these people. They were left to die. And the full story is still buried and nobody wants to see. Why? Were we running guns to what became ISIS? My guess is, and it's a very well-educated guess, yes. While that was unfolding, Hillary Clinton and USAID, they were the ones that were pulling the strings in Libya. Remember? They were cackling as Gaddafi's body was dragged through the streets. I think actually he was alive for a while. And they cackled, we came, we saw, he died. Grotesque doesn't even begin to cover that attitude. Meanwhile, the Nord Stream pipeline exploded. Now, we're told that this was just a couple on a yacht, that took it out for a weekend and blew it. Everyone knows it would take someone that has the skill of the United States and possibly the United States alone to pull this off. This wasn't a couple of honeymooners that were just out there like, you know what, let's blow up the pipeline. It didn't happen that way. It was the largest environmental disaster in our history. And not our history, the history of all mankind. And yet, who's talking about that? Compare the reaction to the Exxon Valdez. Do you remember that? The headlines, the demand for accountability. We almost had Exxon shut down because people were saying it's too dangerous to have oil. The Exxon Valdez, remember the lawsuits? The cleanup? Nord Stream? Nah. nothing. It's almost as if people in power want us all to forget. Meanwhile, what are we doing as a society? I don't think we ever went to the moon. Oh, shut up. Shut up about that. That's a distraction. I am convinced that the whole thing about we never went to the moon is nothing but noise to keep us from asking the real, true questions, from demanding the truth on what actually matters. Who blew up Nord Stream? Who is on video molesting children in both Hollywood and with Epstein? And who has stopped this from coming out? Who is in bed with our enemies, with China? You know, look at the anti-Elon Musk rallies. We now, thanks to AI, can follow the money. I used to have a huge staff. It used to cost me $1 million a year personally just to be able to track down things like the Tides Foundation. I'm the only person that ever worked at Fox that lost money by working there, because I wanted to find the truth. And 20 years ago, it was really hard. You had to do it almost all by hand. Now, we can follow the money. The anti-Elon Musk rallies, I told you from the beginning, those were most likely paid for by you, and they're not real. And I could say that because I know the history of the left. I know the history of our own government. You can tell because who are the people protesting, and they're saying that this is grassroots? Nobody cared about USAID. Nobody on either side. There isn't one single mom that's taken her kids to school and to the soccer field that's like, you know what I'm really upset about is USAID. Yeah, I'm going to go protest the closing of USAID. No. Well, now, because of AI, we can just track the money. What a shock. Those were all funded and fake movements bankrolled by the same crowd that are tied to all of the corruption in our government and perhaps those on the Epstein and Diddy list. Because I have a feeling we're going to find the same people over and over. Does any of this sound familiar? Like we've been here before? Because we have. Remember J. Edgar Hoover? Yeah, he wielded tremendous... He, by the way, was a cross-dresser, which who are you to judge? He wielded tremendous power. How did he do it? He had pictures, he had recordings, he had films, and he had the shadows. Well, now, we all said, oh, we can't let that happen again. Nobody said anything while he was alive because he had secrets on everyone. But the minute he died, they're like, we're going to stop that from happening again. Well, now it's not just one man. Now it's an entire elite class, proving time and time again, they only care about themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about justice. They care about them. The disease that we are suffering under right now is not just about Epstein or Diddy or taped up perversions, although those videos do exist and we know it. We should ask the question, why haven't the names been released? Why are we all still in the dark? The system is built now to protect, enrich, and cover the crimes of the powerful. Robert Friend, who is an FBI whistleblower, he and another friend confirmed before Kash Patel stepped into the offices, they were shredding documents like they were preparing for Charles Lindbergh's ticker parade in the 1920s. Evidence has been destroyed. Tracks have been covered. This is what we're up against. That's why Trump is moving at the speed of light. He has to, because this is a machine that shields the guilty and mocks the rest of us. We're a nation right now, gang. We have stage 4 cancer. Is that the worst cancer you can have, or is it stage 5? Because we might have stage 8 cancer right now. It's all throughout our body of republic. It's government, banks, media, all of it. The patient, our republic, is on its deathbed. And we have two kinds of family members that are surrounding the patient on the bed. And they're all saying the same thing. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, my gosh. oh, Uncle Sam can't die on us now. But in that group of people around the deathbed, we have those who actually love the patient, not necessarily what they've turned into, but love the patient and don't want the patient to die. And then those who have been slowly poisoning his food and now in the room slipping a little mix into his IV when nobody's looking. We don't even know yet who to suspect. So let me show you the path to recovery for our dear Uncle Sam, who's not our uncle and also wears striped pants. The only people I know that wear striped pants like that are people in prison. So let's not get all choked up about how great Uncle Sam is. He belongs in jail himself. But what he is supposed to represent is what's really at stake, really on the deathbed. So let me show you how we need to cure this in just a second. Give me 60 seconds and right back into it. First, when I put food on my table for my family, it's important to me that, A, it's good food. And I don't mean that it just tastes good. It's got to be really good quality. And it starts with the meat. Every cut of meat from Good Ranchers, beef, chicken, pork, raised right here in the U.S. It's free from hidden additives like antibiotics, hormones, even seed oils. It's just meat. I know, that's crazy. And they're upholding the values of tradition because when you shop with Good Ranchers, you're directly supporting local farms and ranches in the United States. When you go to the grocery store, 80% of that stuff is not from America. I don't care if it has a flag on it. That is a red herring. You're directly supporting local farms and ranches in the U.S. when you shop at GoodRanchers.com. These are the people who've been feeding Americans for generations now. And Good Ranchers, and by shopping with Good Ranchers, it actually helps keep them in business. Right now, you can get free ground beef, chicken breasts, or wild-caught salmon in every box for a year. You choose, plus $25 off when you subscribe to Good Ranchers. It's not too late to start this New Year's off right. It's Good Ranchers. Go to GoodRanchers.com, use the promo code Beck, and claim your $25 off and free meat in every box for a year. That's promo code Beck at GoodRanchers.com. American meat delivered. 10 seconds, station ID. Okay, so if you have a loved one in the hospital and they have stage 18 cancer, what does the doctor come in and say? Doctor says, okay, for any chance for this patient to survive, radical surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and perhaps even experimental drugs. Well, that might kill them. Yeah, the patient's dead anyway. Any chance of survival, radical steps need to be taken. We all know this because that's why we hired Donald Trump. Because we knew it would take radical steps to be able to save this patient. We have to cut the disease out, and we've got to do it now. You know, the hard reality is truth is our unum out of many, one. Not unity, not our diversity, but truth. Verifiable, unvarnished truth. That's the only thing that will set us free. But we've been too comfortable, too trusting, too willing to let the powerful run the show while we just sit back. If we want a government that answers to us, we have to continue to step up. Our rights come with duties. And I have shirked mine for far too long. But did Epstein kill himself? I don't know. It's really odd with a paper sheet. And it's more plausible than, faking the moon landing that somebody came in from the Clinton camp and killed him. Did we blow up Nord Stream? I don't know. Run guns to ISIS? I don't know. Spark the Arab Spring? Yeah. Topple governments and color revolutions in the last 20 years? All without you knowing it, but you paying for it? Yeah. Even revolutions like in Ukraine? Yeah, 2 times. We need answers, and we need them all laid bare on the table. No more secrets, no more shadows. If this was a computer and it was overrun to this extent with hacks and malware, you'd shut it down, wipe it clean, and restore it to factory settings. That's what we need. A total reboot of the system back to its constitutional roots where the people call the shots. So, what do you do today? You wait for that Epstein list to come out. And if it doesn't come out, you politely say, hey, how come? How come it's not out? You politely ask every name, no excuses, the Diddy list, the facts on Nord Stream, Benghazi, and everything else. All of it. It's your role as the boss of this government. They work for you. Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. We're glad that you're here. Yesterday, something remarkable happened. Yesterday, the Blaze was in on the first cabinet meeting, along with other unqualified organizations, asking questions of the cabinet and Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And our own Chris Bedford was there. He asked a question yesterday, and he also clarified some things that the mainstream media was saying that were absolutely untrue. But when he walked into the press office, he saw over the Perel, sanitizer, a sign taped to the wall that says, "We stand with the Associated Press." Can I ask you why? The Associated Press is saying, this is a violation of freedom of speech and the First Amendment. What? That we're rotating people out? That we don't think the White House Correspondents Club should be the one that says, nope, only you are qualified to go in and ask questions? No, I don't think so. You've been proven as liars over and over again. And I just want to show you, and this is one of the benefits if you have a subscription to the Blaze, this will pay for 6 months. Just this is worth 6 months of subscription. I want to show you a picture of a guy. This is the gentleman. Can you put him up, please? Yeah, this is the gentleman, the one in the pink dress and carrying the purse. He was the guy making the, oh, there he is. Look at that. Oh, he's in another dress, and it's cut up to his crotch, and he's wearing leather boots and a fan. Oh, man, he's a handsome it. Anyway, this is the guy that was in charge of the White House press corps. He was the guy for Biden making the decisions on who was qualified to go in or not. His name is Eugene Daniels, and he just said recently, the White House press corps, we did not receive any notice in advance that the White House was making a decision and said, move AP out and rotate people. And he said, quote, it tears at the independence of a free press in the United States. It suggests that governments will choose the journalists who cover the president. In a free country, leaders must not be able to choose their own press corps. You were still there, dude. Well, you weren't, because you just took a job, believe it or not, as the replacement of Joy Reid. Boy, MSNBC has sure woken up. They get it, huh? My gosh, this is such a perversion, but that is the word of the day, I think, in Washington, perversion. But he's a sexy, sexy it. He really is. And he's the guy who has said to my company forever, you're not qualified. You're not serious. Oh, really, dude in the pink dress with the purse? You're qualified and serious? Uh-huh. Okay. Chris Bedford is with us right now. He is our senior editor for politics and our Blaze Media Washington correspondent. He was in the cabinet meeting yesterday, and I understand, Chris, you were getting daggers in the back like crazy from the mainstream media.
Well, thanks for having me, Glenn. And, you're right. If you're in the media and you're trying to actually convince people that you are the American people, that you stand with them, then maybe you shouldn't dress like you're a villain from the Hunger Games. Maybe people look at that and say, this is strange. This doesn't seem representative of me. And certainly they love to talk about this. No one in there was elected by anyone except for other members of the press and other members of their club.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I have to tell you, when I heard you were there and I knew you were standing in front of a lot of the press corps, I so wanted to send you a T-shirt. I would have sent it to you had I known, that just has Blaze Media, White House Press, and then on the back, it just said all of it, not just F you. Because that way, you'd look absolutely, I'm just proud of the White House press corps. But all of those weasels standing behind you, I so want to say to them, F you. Your time is up. You've betrayed the people and journalism. So it's cry all you want, but this isn't a violation of the First Amendment. You have been keeping people out who are trying to actually tell the truth. And yesterday, you saw it. I think you did a story, or it was at least a tweet, where they were lying again about who was actually in charge of the cabinet meeting. They said it was Elon Musk.
Yeah, you had Aaron Rupar fashions himself as a reporter out there trying to claim that Elon Musk was in charge of the cabinet meeting. It didn't run with any of the facts, but of course the narrative had already been cooked up. Elon Musk sat in a chair with other invited guests who were not members of the cabinet against the wall, wasn't at the main table, referred to the president as the commander-in-chief, and answered questions when he was directed to by the president, just like you saw Howard Lutnick and Pete Hegseth and other members of the cabinet do when President Trump called on them because of the area of their expertise. It was a mix when I went in there because I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. It had been a few years since I'd been in the briefing room. Basically, everyone always talks about access, but at the Blaze, at the Federalist, at the Daily Caller, we were not frequent guests of the Biden administration. My time in the Oval Office was limited to Trump's first time. And I was there with James Rosen from Newsmax and previously Fox, who had been there in the Oval Office in the press briefing covering George W. Bush. But it had been a long time since I'd had the pool to be able to choose them. And there was a mix of reactions. Some people were really upset. A few people, a small group of people were clearly upset. But after talking with them for a minute and then suddenly realizing, wait a second, this guy hasn't tried to rip my throat out with his fangs. I'm not bleeding from the eyes. They didn't quite know what to think. It was almost like we were a bunch of humans stuck in the same room for a number of hours there.
You assured them, though, that we weren't. Right.
Of course. And one of my favorite things is I sat with a bunch of the camera crews, and those guys, those are hardworking guys who are very skilled. They got to hold up those boom mics, those cameras, try to get shots in, try to make sure that they're broadcasting everyone. And they also don't care. They're not all the high and mighty guys. And if you wanted to hear someone cracking a joke about AP, it would be that in that crew. And they did not have any of the self-importance that the reporters did. But it's a funny room in there, and kind of a sad room in a funny way.
It is amazing to me how they have their own elite interests, from the 60 Minutes lawsuit to Ukraine, but are not in touch with the American people at all. And it's nice to be in the same room with them so you can actually view them and go, dude, I mean, you're almost a parody of yourself at this point.
That was a wild round of questioning. When you finally get the opportunity at the first cabinet meeting of the most powerful person in the world who is reshaping American government in a way that is impacting regular people, when tax cuts are on the line, when the country is barreling towards debt, and you ask 1, 2, 3, 4 questions in a row about your friends who completely and totally fixed and doctored an interview to make a candidate look good and are now losing a lawsuit. And that's the focus of your questions. And they were so proud of themselves. I saw one reporter who was asking questions about Ukraine, and her phone blew up from all of her friends saying, thank you. Thank you for asking that question. At one point, the president said, what am I here doing? Am I negotiating with you and the press corps, or am I negotiating with Russia on this? This is the beginning, and we're trying to get toward peace here. And it's a room that there were some really good journalists in there, and there are some people who are asking some questions that are rather interesting about what's next in our American policy with Israel, what's next with the tariffs that are going on Mexico and Canada. But there are others who are just so can't get out of their own way, and the obsessions of elite niche interests, and it reflects in the declining and the fact that the American people don't listen to them anymore. They consider themselves the fourth branch of government. In a way, and when the press, when we act properly, we can be that check and balance. But what they don't realize is we don't have an army, we don't have the executive, none of us are elected, none of us are judges. all we have is the people's trust and the people caring about us and the honor of our word and the fact that we represent them. That's all we have. And these people have forgotten that. And a lot of them just represent the small niche interests of people in Manhattan or Los Angeles. And they think that they are owed the trust of the American people, but they're not. And that's why they're suffering.
We're talking to Chris Bedford. He is our Washington correspondent and senior editor for politics. He also has his Beltway brief that comes out in the morning. You can find it at theblaze.com/Bedford. Sign up for it. It's great. We use it on the program an awful lot. Chris, you got one question in, but I think you got two in, didn't you? What were you concerned about yesterday?
Yeah, so one of the questions that I got in was talking about what's next for Doge, because I got news to you, Glenn. I know that you guys are loving it out there in free Texas, but it took me an hour to get into work today because of all the changes that are going on in Washington, D.C. With trying to
people are actually
who's coming to work.
Yeah, people are actually showing up. That's crazy.
They suddenly have to go. I talked to my wife. I said, we're going to have to leave an hour earlier to get in or to get in on time. It's having a remarkable impact around here. And it's a complete change to the federal government. So we all know that Elon Musk had sent out an email the previous week saying, give me 5 things that you did in the past week. And I asked him, well, what's the process? About half of the federal workforce estimated has responded to your email. Have you begun the process of firing them? Are they going to be under review? What happens next? And he had a great answer, which was, this was not a performance review. This was a pulse check. If you have 2 neurons and a pulse, you ought to be able to respond to an email. And even if it's someone saying, well, the work I worked on last week was classified, but here's my supervisor, and that would have been a pulse check. You would have responded. So and then the second question I asked.
So wait. Before we leave that, because I saw the morons at CNN saying, oh, he is, you know what he admitted to? He's saying that these are dead people who died in the government years ago and are still now collecting, I guess, their salary and Social Security. Is that what Elon Musk is insinuating?
He was saying that they think that they're paying some people who either haven't been working for the federal government for years or maybe have retired, or maybe he even insinuated, that some of the people have expired. Now, of course, there's different jobs that would never work. If you work in the Pentagon or the military, then you're gonna be kicked out of your email if you don't keep up to date on the different patches. But that same kind of Byzantine system allows folks to be able to stay on the roll potentially for a lot longer. And we've been discovering that with voter rolls. We've been discovering that with a whole lot of different aspects of the federal government and the state governments in general. And I've heard stories when I first moved to D.C. about people who would never come to work because they were alcoholics, and that was considered a medical condition, and you can't fire somebody for a medical condition.
Jeez.
They couldn't get there. And that's when you've got a system that allows for that kind of thing and doesn't make people show up and doesn't make people respond to emails, then you might get people who are on there fraudulently.
Okay, Christopher, I've got 1 minute left. Tell me the second question and the answer.
Well, Eric Prince, a friend of the show, had offered his services for private military contractors to help with immigration and deportation. And I asked the president, is that something you're considering? It was the shortest answer he ever gave. He said he is not considering that offer.
Did he say he wasn't considering, or he hasn't talked to Eric Prince about it?
I said, have you talked to Eric Prince, or are you going to be talking to him about that? And he said no.
Okay, so are you going to? Okay, covered. Chris, thank you so much for everything. Thanks for going into that sewer yesterday and helping clean it up and asking legitimate questions. Thank you so much. Christopher Bedford, our senior editor for politics and Washington correspondent in the White House yesterday. I got to tell you, that was such a big deal yesterday. I mean, Stu, I've been saying this. I mean, we were treated as lizard people when I worked at CNN. You don't have the credentials to work here or question politics or political leaders or what's going on in Washington. That's been going on for so long. And now they're standing behind Daily Wire, The Blaze, all of these upstarts that are actually listening to the people. It was a remarkable day yesterday. Oh, golly. We've got a few things coming up today. We have Robert Friend coming on. He is the FBI whistleblower who honestly should be hired by Kash Patel.
Steve, right?
Or Steve, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Steve should be hired. And all of the whistleblowers that lost their job with the FBI, those are the people that should be going in because they blew the whistle. They were fired. And these are the guys that know better, quite honestly. And he's coming on because he said he doesn't think that it's even salvageable. He said he's been doing some research, and he said, I think you have to fire everybody and start over again. Kind of amazing. But also, I went through some of those letters with the 5 bullets on what you did last week from government employees. Found some really interesting answers. Can't verify the validity of all of these letters, but we're going to pass those on to you next. Also, Jeff Brown joins us about the latest on AI.
This is Glenn Beck.